Hey everyone, this is Mark and welcome back to The Gun Guy. Before we start this episode, just really want to thank everyone who has subscribed, liked our videos, given us thumbs up, commented, whether it's a positive comment, a negative comment, or just your opinion. And that's really what we're looking for. I mean, that's kind of the purpose of this channel. I'm not an expert, so you are more than welcome to disagree with me or have a different opinion on whether you like a gun, whether you like a chamber, etc. There are plenty of gun experts out there. I'm not one of them, so we even like when you disagree with us. And speaking of disagreeing with us, there are some people who don't like the gun that we're about to review. I'm not one of them. Some people call it a solution looking for a problem. Almost everyone who shot the gun calls it pleasant, and Ruger Firearms calls it the Security 380. We're going to take a look at this gun right now. So one of the first questions that might pop into someone's mind is, who wants a full-size 380 or a compact that tends to be a little bit larger than a micro pistol? Well, the people at Ruger and Smith Wesson think there are a whole bunch of people who do. So Smith originally answered this question with their M&P Shield 380 EZ. It's a great gun. It was very popular, and Ruger came out with this particular gun, the Security 380, in response to that gun. And if you stack them side by side, they're both great guns. I enjoy shooting them both. The reason that we went ahead and got the Security 380 is honestly capacity. The Smith only holds 8+1. The Ruger holds 10+1 and 15+1. And the Smith has a grip safety that was just a little quirky for me. But some of the people who might like this are people who are just looking to buy their first gun.
Oh, it was beautiful. I could hardly wait to try it out.
They want to experience shooting, but they don't want to buy a bunch of different guns. So a 22 long rifle may be a great gun to start learning on, low recoil, easy to train with, but it's not the best self-defense gun. It's probably not the best carry gun, and it's certainly not the best home defense gun. The 380 kind of splits those worlds, and it's a great compromise, right? It's the porridge isn't too hot, and the porridge isn't too cold, and the porridge is just about right. So we can call this the Goldilocks gun. This particular gun can be used for home defense because the 380 is, it's a capable round. It's not quite the 9mm, but it's also not, a pea shooter. Whoa. This particular gun also is small enough, particularly when we'll get into the options, that you could carry it comfortably. So it feels like a full size. You can train with it like a full size, but it's really more concealable than a full size pistol. The other people that this gun might appeal to are people who are just recoil shy. Not everyone wants a super snappy gun. So for example, I personally enjoy shooting a Hellcat, but it's a snappy gun to shoot. You might not want to shoot that gun. You might not want to train on that gun. And if you don't enjoy shooting a gun, you're not going to become proficient enough with it that it's safe to carry or to use for your home defense. The Ruger Security 380 uniformly is pleasant to shoot. If it's nothing else, it might not be as exciting as a 50 caliber or a 44 Magnum, but it is a pleasant round to shoot. You could sit at the range and shoot it all day, practice, and be pretty happy when you're done. So the other question is, well, is 380 really capable of being used for self-defense or home defense? It's kind of the 9mm red-headed stepchild. The 380 was used for a very long time by militaries, by police departments, and by gangsters. So it is an effective round. And kind of like the old saying goes, the 380 that you have with you is much better than the 357 that's sitting in your nightstand. And either of those is better than a sharp stick, as they say. Both Smith and Ruger have also kind of targeted women.
All I'm gonna turn loose is about a pound of buckshot.
As well as people with compromised hand strength. So while they're targeting women and more women are shooting, it's just a super comfortable, super easy gun to shoot. And we'll get into that in a bit. Also, if you get older, like myself, at a certain point your hands start to hurt. If you're racking, you have arthritis, this gun is specifically targeted for those people so that they can continue to shoot. I know of a few people who have arm and shoulder injuries. They like this gun not only because it's easy to rack, but because it has nominal recoil, so they can shoot all day and not be uncomfortable or be in pain. And again, one of the other reasons that people shoot is to enjoy themselves, right? So there's a self-defense element, but there's also an enjoyment element. And if you're not going to enjoy shooting, or if it's painful for you to shoot a specific gun, you're probably not going to practice enough with that gun where it's safe to use in a self-defense situation. So certain people will say that the 380 is just too much of a compromise. And I disagree with that. The reason being, anytime that you're going to carry a weapon or use a weapon, it's kind of a compromise in and of itself. For example, if you wanted stopping power, you might walk around with a .50 caliber, but that's going to be hard to carry and you're not going to be able to do it in certain circumstances. So when you carry any gun, you're really compromising with stopping power versus carrying versus concealability. So in my particular opinion, this gun kind of strikes a really happy balance with that. You have a decent amount of stopping power, albeit not as much as a 9 or a 357. It's easy to shoot, which means you can stay on target, you can be more accurate, and the gun itself is relatively concealable and it's comfortable to carry. So let's take a peek at what is in the box. We open it up. Congratulations on our new Ruger firearm. ATF Youth Handgun Safety Act notice, along with the instruction manual, some information on the Ruger Black Hawk, a 75-year anniversary sticker, gotta like that, a regular sticker, and just some other promotional material. We have the lock for the gun. This also comes with 2 magazines. So this is the 15 and the 10 is in the gun. We'll take that out. You also get another base plate for the 10-round magazine. So if you don't like the pinky, we have this, and we'll change that out. You have a chamber indicator as well as the trigger guard. But again, we also bought this gun from a big box store. I think this is just their policy as opposed to coming directly from Ruger. Some people might ask, why did you buy this at a big box store as opposed to a local gun store? The answer is because it was cheaper. So this gun retails for $369 and we got it for $299. And honestly, for what you get, that is just an amazing deal. So we're gonna put this stuff away, get rid of this box, and take a look at the meat and potatoes. Oh, forgot about the beautiful yellow rubber band, as well as the assist to help us, load the magazine. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of that. And let's take a look at how it feels with the different magazines. So with the pinky extender on this magazine, you know what? We'll take this out and clear it. Nothing in there. But with the pinky on the 10, you can actually get 3 fingers, and it's still very easy to carry. It just feels really nice with this. Let's take a look at with the 15 round magazine in. And now this is just super comfortable. So that's a really, really nice feature of this gun. Like it'd be a little harder to carry with the 15 rounds. So you might want to go with the smaller 10 round. I personally do not like having the pinky rest on this, so I'm going to show you real quick how we would go about changing that out. All right, so to change out the end piece on this, you can take a Allen wrench, a punch, a small screwdriver. You just go down, slide it forward. Now, be careful because the spring is under tension, right? So that will shoot up if you just let it. You want to depress it. Take the piece, slide it in, slide it past the little notch, and it'll lock in place. So for me, if I was going to carry this gun, I would do that. I would use the 2 fingers, and I'd be very happy with this. And I think that most of the time, if I'm trying to do a concealed carry, this portion of the gun is really what prints. So the smaller I can make this, the easier it is for me to carry a particular firearm. So now that we've done that and we've got it where I would personally like, we'll take these and move these out. Just kind of take a look at the gun itself. So again, this gun is not terribly big. It's probably bigger than most of the micro 380s that you'll see. The barrel length on this is 3.42 inches. And the overall length is 6.52 inches. The height on the gun is 5.01 inches, and I believe that's actually with this on this. So with the 15 round, it's a little larger than that. The width of the gun, and specifically the slide width, is 1.02 inches. And the reason that might be is if you look right here, you're going to see, and it's one of the features of this gun, that there are what I believe they call ears on the back of this, so that you can grab it and literally just kind of pull it. So it makes it easier. The same with the serrations. The serrations are really good on this. And you could do the same with the front. You know, it slides back super easy. So when you rack this gun, you are going to be shocked at how simple and easy it is to pull back and forth.
I'm shocked.
The overall total weight of the gun, empty, is 19.7 ounces. The barrel as well as the top slide are made out of alloy steel. The slide material is a hardened alloy steel. The top slide is also ported so that it's much lighter. And the reason that that's important is the lighter the slide is, the lighter the spring is, the lighter the recoil is. And that's one of the things. This is a single action only gun. You'll notice it's not a striker fire. It may seem to be a striker fire, but if you look back there, this is there's actually an internal hammer on this gun. And that makes it also lighter recoil with a lighter spring. A striker fire, at least this is my understanding, requires more energy to drive back and reset the striker fire firing pin as opposed to the hammer on the specific gun. So the finish on the whole gun is a black oxide. The grip itself is a poly, so this is what they call a glass-filled nylon, and honestly, it just feels really good. The texture on it is enough that you can get a really nice grip. On the front of this, you'll see just a straight, very tiny Picatinny rail. If you wanted to put some attachments on it, you could. The front sight is fiber optic, and Again, I'm not sure if you can see on this or not, but it really picks up light beautifully. The back sight is just a straight black target sight with no dots. I personally enjoy shooting with this kind of sight setup, and honestly on this gun I was surprisingly accurate for how small the sight radius is. I'm waiting for the hand strength to go, but right now the eye strength has already left me. So I've been trying to come up with creative ways to see targets at 25 yards. If I put on some distant glasses, it skews the sight picture, and if I use bifocals or near glasses, it also throws my aim off. So basically what I've done is taking to shooting with just shooting glasses and no prescriptions. It makes a 25-yard target pretty hard to see. But honestly, with these sights and with this gun, I was hitting 4 out of 5 at 25 yards, first time shooting this gun. So really pretty happy with the sights. This also has a magazine release right here, again, as you saw, and it is not ambidextrous. So it favors people who are righties. Also, it has a manual thumb safety, and for those of you who have seen the channel, I personally like a thumb safety. I can do a whole video on why I like thumb safeties as opposed to no external safety. But this one is nice. It's crisp. I'm not really worried about accidentally engaging or disengaging it. Now, ironically, the slide release on this particular gun, for something that's supposed to cater to someone who has weak hands, I personally found it very difficult while I was shooting it to get that to go. So if you could see it, it did take a little bit of pressure, and particularly when you're in this position, because of the location of the safety, it was very hard. I had to go around it, and there you can see it's very awkward. So honestly, that's probably one of the only negatives that I had on this gun. But again, it didn't bother me. I just opted not to use the slide release when I was trying to get it back into battery. The trigger on, the safety on this is also not ambidextrous, so it's favoring a right-handed shooter, and I don't believe that there's any way to switch these over to the other side. So this may be a right-handed bias gun. Therefore, all you DEI people, please write Ruger and don't write me about how it's a bigoted handgun. In regard to the trigger, it also has a trigger safety, and we'll take a look at that. So what a trigger safety is, and by the way, I use the word trigger safety. It's not really a safety. In my opinion, a safety is something that is meant to make the gun not go bang when you don't want it to go bang under any circumstances. Because something can catch on this and the gun can still go bang, it's kind of a pseudo safety in my opinion. But anyhow, if you see, and my finger's not depressing the trigger safety, so this trigger is not going to go back, right? As soon as I press it, now I can shoot the gun normally. Again, with the manual safety engaged, nothing. So that to me is a true safety, and it's one of the reasons I always favor this. Also, if you don't like the safety, at least you have the option of using it when you're reholstering, and that seems to be when there are a lot of accidental discharges or negligent discharges. And again, we can, in a separate video, go into the difference between those two. So in regard to the trigger, let's take a look at the trigger right now. I genuinely like this trigger. Most of the time, and because this is a hammer-fired gun, you get a crisper trigger than you would if it was a striker fire gun. That seems to be one of the chief complaints on striker fire, that the trigger can be a little bit mushy. I actually like some striker fires, particularly SIG, so I wouldn't call it mushy, but other people may. So if we take the trigger back, you see there's the wall, and there's a little bit of creep. We're moving it, and then a nice crisp, and let's see if we can do the reset. It's right there. So the reset on this trigger actually is pretty far out. You know, it's all the way there almost. Then we're going to bring it back again just to kind of give you that. So a little bit of creep through that wall, and then boom. There's also a backstop on the trigger, so the trigger can't go all the way back. That's intended to make the reset a little bit shorter. So again, let's do this. We're going to bring it back, do a racket, bring it forward, and the reset is all the way there. So it's almost fully out. So it definitely has a long reset. If that matters to you, that would also probably be one of the negative parts of this. While we have the gun out, let's take a quick look and see what kind of trigger pulls we're getting. When I looked online, they're saying that it's everything between 6 to 7 and thereabouts. To me, honestly, it feels, you know, much lighter than that, but that could just be me. So we will welcome a new tool to the show, and it's our Lyman trigger pull. So we're going to go ahead and see what we get. Well, that was 3 pounds, 12.7 ounces. And oops, let's clear that so we're not biasing our results. 315.6. And 312.9. So the results that we're getting are actually significantly lighter than what we found online, but I could be doing this wrong too. So, but those are our results. One of the other things about this gun, outside of you know, it being very comfortable to shoot, is uniformly people say that it's just a very, very pleasant gun to shoot. And if you look at some of the range footage with this gun, you'll see that there's not much muzzle flip at all on this. There's not much recoil. When we were shooting very slow, we were getting relatively good groups. And when we were shooting relatively fast, we were still getting relatively good groups. Because there isn't the flip, you really can just stay on target and shoot relatively quickly. So now that we've got that, and now that we've gone through all of that, let's take a look at how we break this gun down, and we're going to give it a quick cleaning from our range trip.